So you're doing so well for being able to complete the previous lessons and coming all the way to this point. So in this lesson, what we are doing is going through subsetting list. Okay, the real reason or the most important thing behind this idea is that sometimes given a data set, you want to get some part of the data set to work with. Okay, so if you understand how you can subset these simple lists or these lists that we're going to create, then we can be able to extend that idea to bigger data set. Okay, so we've gone through the ideas of creating lists, so that's why I have the list numbers in there for you. And I know you'll be able to create that. Okay, so creating this, what if you want to access the first element? In our previous lesson, I said that this print statement here is used to see the output of something. Okay, um, and the print first element here is just the comments or the additional statement you add to the output. Now the actual work we want to do is to subset an element using square brackets. Remember, Python indexes its list elements starting from 0, right? So it means the first element 0 you have, the index, it means the position it has is the 0th position or the 0th index. This one has the 1 index. I mean, luckily for this list, it follows the normal 0, 1, 2, 3 all the way to 9, okay? So if I want to subset the first element, remember this is the 0th position and it's not the 0 element. Okay, if I run that, I should get 0. um what do we have here? All right, sorry, we should run the numbers first. Okay, I mean, these are some of the errors you see. So like I said, I'm not going to edit these part of the video, so I have to run it. Once I'm done running it, I can run this and see the result, right? I mean, that's how Python, it has to run this and update, have that memory that the list numbers is defined. Okay, now the reason I'm saying this is not a 0 here, this 0 we have the 0th position. If I change this to, let's say, 10, right, and run it, it updates the numbers list. Okay, now if I run it, I should see 10 because 10 is at the 0th position. That is what I wanted to mean, right? I was trying to say that the element you have here is at the 0th position, not the value. Okay, so let's keep that 10 as part of the first value we have, or maybe we can update this to -1. Okay, when I run this and come and run this part, I should see -1 at the 0th position, right? Now let's go to assessing the last element using negative indexing. We mentioned negative indexing as well in our previous lesson. So if I want to assess this, Python can count its index or its list elements from the backward position using negative indexing. And so since this is starting from 0, the indexing or the positions are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We can go back to the backwards counting from back, and Python will count it from -1 all the way to whichever. So this is at the -1 position, this is at the -2 position, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, and -10th position. So if I want to subset the last element using negative indexing, I use -1, and that is the 9. Okay, the value 9, right? Slicing and dicing, what it means is that you want to get some part of the list, right, including some particular positions to the another position. So what I mean by this is that get elements. So this is the example we're going to talk about. Get elements from index 2 to 5, not including 5. So Python will not include the last index you specify. Okay, it will not include that. Now let's see the index 2. Which one is the index 2? This is the 0th index or the position 0, 1, and then 2. 2 is at the index 2, right? It means that is the position 2. I'm going to start from there. 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to end at the um, position, let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So when I say from index 2 all the way to 5, not including 5, it means I'm going to get 2, 3, 4, right? I mean, this is what we are supposed to get. Let's see. So 2 all the way to 5, right? And then we will not include the last one. So we should get 2, 3, 4, right? I mean, this is what it means. Python, it will not include the last index. If you wanted to see the last index in it, we have to increase it to maybe 6, and that way we'll see 5 in there, right? So long as we want just from 2 to 5, Python will not include the last position, right? These are some of the ideas you should get, okay? Slicing with negative indices. We could do the same thing, right? Using negative 8 to negative 4. And what it means is to get these numbers 2, 3, 4, we could as well use negative 8 to negative 4. And if you look at it very carefully, this is negative 1. The last one is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, right? Negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, right? So you start from negative 8 all the way to negative 4. Which one is the negative? Negative 4 is this one, so it means we'll not include um, 6. Let's try that and see. Um, Negative 8 all the way to negative 4. I mean, this should give us a different list from the above one. Okay, like I said, it was going to give us negative 8 all the way to negative 4. It will not include the position negative 4. Now let's go and see what happens. This is negative 8 is starting from 2, and negative 7 comes to 3, negative 6, negative um negative 5, and negative 4. So the 6 was not supposed to be included because that's the last position we identify or we specified. So 6 shouldn't be part, which is what is happening in Python because it doesn't include the last position, right? So this makes sense. Now let's go to omitting start and end index during slicing. So we can slice through the whole list to define what. So first 3 elements. If I want to index the first 3 elements from start to the index 3, what I do is I say before, let me explain this one. The 2 is to 5 means that you are starting from 2, the second position, and you end at 4 because it will not include the 5th position, right? Now instead of you to say you want to start from the start, or you want to slice or get some part of the list from the start, you don't want to specify maybe you have a data set, right, and you don't know the starting values, you don't know anything. So all you can do is bring this semicolon, and what it means is it will just start from the very start of the list, and you want to end at the maybe column or maybe row 3 or maybe something like that, right? So you want to add and the you want to get the first 3 elements, but because Python will not include the last position, you just have to put 3 there so that it will give you 0, 1, 2, 3, and you get 3 elements. Okay, so if I run this, let's see, we don't have, I just have to let's see. Oh, I should finish these codes. I'm so sorry, but like I said, I'm not editing any part of this, so I have to still go ahead and do the rest of them. So let's say from indexing from negative values, we can just last 3 elements or last 3 values. So we starting from this negative 3 will start here, and then the part that contains the last will go ahead and do we'll take the semicolon. So if you realize we want to subset the first 3 elements, and it's the part that the semicolon takes is, or the column will take, is for the first part or the first position, and then the last 3 elements we have the column at the last position, right? We use this idea to subset the last 3 elements. Now if I go ahead and also want to subset using steps, okay, what I mean by steps is that we can do something like this: start, stop, and then step. What it means is, where do I want to start? Maybe I want to start with the first, or the first element, end at the last element, and also for every 2 step. So what this actually means is that you want to focus on um, telling Python to select every second element from the list starting from the index 0. So every second element, it means that from index 0, I have 1, 2. This is the second element. Then 1, 2. This is the second element. So I want to 1, 2. So I want to go ahead and take every second element starting from the first one. So I start here, count 0, 1, 2, right? Then I come here 0, 1, 2. So I'll take 4 as well. The 4 will end and I'll go ahead 0, 0 on the 4, 1, 2, right? So if I run this code now, we should be able to see a result. Earlier, we had not finished all the code. That is why Python had an issue. So first three elements, we have this, right? If you go back to the list, that's what it looks like. And then every second element starting from the first, -1, and then we go to the second element from that point, and then like I gave there. So -1 starting from here, and then 0, 1, 2. This is the second element. 0, 1, 2. That is the fourth one. So 0, 1, 2, like that till we are done with the whole list. Okay. Now, we can have a list of lists. That's the nested list, and this is one crucial point that is very important because bigger data set, when we have a big data frame, we're going to get to that point. Okay, we'll be working with matrices, like a data with a very big dimension. We'll have a list of lists in there, right? We'll have a table where one row will be containing maybe hundreds of elements in there. Another row will be containing another number of elements in there. So if you look at this very carefully, if you are from math, you may understand this very well. But don't worry if you don't have math background. This is called matrices. And what matrices does is that you have rows in there, right? So row 1 in this case will be just a normal list that you know. Row 2 will be this, and row 3 will be that. Okay, and we have columns. The columns are the vertical arrays or the vertical elements. So the values that are in 1, 4, 7 will be the column 1, 2, 5, 8 will be the column 2, and then 3, 6, 9 will be column 3. All right, so that is how you define matrices in Python. So it's like a list of lists. So first you open a square bracket to create a list, like a normal list. You close it. Then you create your rows as list in the Python list that you've created, right? So you create your first row as a list, your second row as another list, and that's how you create a nested list called the matrix. Okay, so I've run this. I have to run this first before I do any operation. So accessing the first list within the row, the matrix. Okay, so if let's say I want to access the first matrix or the first row, that is the first row is the first list. That's what it has here. So I can just index it as 0 because this is also a list in a list, right? So this is a list that contains 3 elements. The first element is this, and the second element is that, and the third element is this, right? But all these elements are also a list of themselves. So this is how you should understand the list of lists, okay? So if I run this, I'm going to see the first list or the first row of the matrix, okay? If I go ahead, I want to access a specific element within a nested list. So if I want to access, let's say the element 6, which is in the second list at index 2, what it means is I come to the second list, which is somehow you can call it a row, second row, and the index of this row is that Python is being indexing as this. The rows are indexing in this way. Row 0, right, is indexing starts from 0. Row 1 and then row 2, right? Now in the column indexing, the same thing. Column 0, that is 147. Column 2, column 1, sorry, which is the 258, and then column 2, right? So if I come to the second list, which is I want the element 6. The element 6 is in the second list or the second row, which we can call it just index 1. At the index 1 of, in terms of row indexing, the index is 1. And then the value 6 is at the column 2 in terms of column indexing, right? So you go here, and the matrix, how you access elements in the matrix is the row number and the column number. So the row here for where we find the value 6 is at row 1 in indexing, and the column is column 2 in terms of indexing. So I run this and I should get 6. element 6 from matrix is this, right? So that is how you do all these subsetting. Try to understand these because, like I said, we're going to use them in our data analysis. When you get to data visualization, we subsetting some part of or some aspect of data set given to us so that we can perform our operations. Now that is the end of this video. I have this exercise for you. um your exercises, I have created this list. You can create it by watching or pausing it and then follow the question here. Print the first half of the list, print the second half of the list, print every third element of the list. Every third element of the list, you can use this approach where we use to print every second element of the list, right? Using this point, right? And we have the list B, print the list in reverse order. It means you're going to use negative indexing, right? Print only the items that are in odd index position. So you should be very careful about that point. Nested list, we have this as well. Replace banana with orange. Um, I didn't do that, but we'll talk about that in our next lesson. You can go ahead and learn ahead if you want. Add a new sub list. There's two existing list and nested list. Think of the append method that we know. Okay, so that is the exercise for you. Try to pause the video to be able to, capture all these. See you in our next lesson, and I'm glad you are doing this with me. Okay.